Okay guys, we're back. This one here is Rattlesnake Bay and the grass flats east of Rattlesnake Bay. So after I'd made it back from the land cut, I was down for a little bit. I got the boat back online, replaced the fuel hose, replaced the drop pickup tube in the gas tank, and got it running again. So it's running pretty good again. So here we go. We're going out again. So as you can see, it's my usual time. We put in down there at Talmay Park. It's probably around I don't know, 10:30. It looks like. Look how high the sun is in the sky already. So it might even be closer to 11:30. And we're going out for the afternoon bite. So I'm going to go to Rattlesnake Bay first, and then to the mud flats over there, and then I'm going to go across from Rattlesnake Bay into the grass flats that are just east of Rattlesnake Bay. So this turns out to be a pretty interesting day. I do catch a lot of fish, catch a few trout, a lot of reds, catch a lot of reds this day. And I lost one really big one, which I never got to see. He was so big. I lost him. So when I talked about before in previous videos about taking your time, keep the line tight, keep the pole up, and don't hurry it. Well, here's a perfect example of what happens when you try to hurry the fish in, because I lose this one, which will be later on in the video. We'll get to that. But as you can see, it was a cloudy day. This is probably about 3-4 years ago. This is right after my trip back from the land cut in Port Mansfield. And I got the boat back online, and I don't know if that was the next week or the following week after that I went out. And as you can see, there's a lot of water in the arroyo, so that's telling me there's going to be a lot of water in the bay. It's a good high tide, so it was probably changing either from low tide to high tide or from high tide to low tide. So I was going at the changing of the tide, and I believe it was for the midday bite is what we were doing there. Birds are out. You see them flying. Things are looking good. So I'm already thinking, hey, we're having a lot of good signs here. We're not even out of the arroyo yet. So I like it when I see the birds out moving, feeding. That tells me bait fish is moving. And then what's usually following bait fish, of course, are game fish. And we're going to shoot down here, down the arroyo. But see, just look how high. Look at each side of the bank on the port and on the starboard side of the boat. The water is way up into the bank. You can see that. Like you see right there on the port side, how it goes back past. So that's pretty good. There's a lot of water here. So it's pretty interesting. I wasn't down here a few weeks ago when we had all that rain and it flooded the valley. But water was up pretty high. The water came up super high on the banks. I can imagine how fast it was running out there into the mouth. It probably covered all over, probably inundated Bird Island right there. You probably couldn't even see Bird Island because the water level was so high. So that pushed a lot of fresh water into the bay all at one time. And so if it does that, what's going to happen more than likely, like I said, I haven't been out in a while, but whenever there's a lot of fresh water, the fish aren't normally where you usually go and find them. They'll be in different spots because there's so much fresh water that comes into the bay. So you would have to go further than what you would normally have to go. So here is a perfect example. A lot of water in the bay. I'm going to go back to the mud flats, and we're going to try for reds there. And then the water looks so good, which I noticed when I was going out, as you'll see here once we turn the corner. I was looking at the grass flats across from Rattlesnake Bay, and it was having that nice green, vibrant green color. And I was thinking to myself that, hey, after I try Rattlesnake Bay, we're gonna go over here. I want to try it here because it was looking good, and it did. That's where I caught the bigger redfish at. That day, I caught redfish in Rattlesnake Bay, but the big ones were caught, and one that got away, the biggest one that got away, was over in the grass flats across from Rattlesnake Bay. So this is an average day. Like I say, you're going to fish the lower Laguna Madre. The wind generally blows 25 to 30 miles an hour out of the south. And it was blowing that day, just like a regular day. Wind was up, blowing out of the southeast, and it was blowing pretty good, 20 to 30 miles an hour, easy. So that's why I have a big drift sock that I like to use, because it slows me down. And like I say, once I get back on the water, I'll probably double, triple down on drift socks to slow me even more on windy days, so I don't move as fast. But you always want to try to drift as slow as possible if you are drift fishing, as slow as possible, so it gives you time to work the area, because you don't know how many opportunities are missed if you drift through there too fast. But see, look, the water's way up on the bank. Look at the starboard side of the boat over there. You see that? Way up into the bank. So there's a lot of water in the bay at that time when I went out. And you know, it really, yeah, you have the changing of the tide, but there's still a lot of water. There's still going to be a lot of water, whether it's high or low. You know, and then another thing that we can talk about too, which I didn't really discuss on the tides for fishing, the charts that I go by, because I'm a southerner guy. I also look at barometric pressure. You know, a barometer. I mean, you know, the old fishermen, they have a barometer hanging in their house and on their boat, because they know when the barometer drops, they know a storm's coming. You know what I mean? And also they can tell when fish are biting, because if the barometer is high, the fish aren't going to be biting. If it's rising or if it's falling, that's a good time to be out fishing. But if it gets too low, then you know a storm's coming in. So that's always a good way to analyze things too. It's good to have a barometer, and you can see that when you look at the barometer, see where it's at. If it's rising, fish are biting. If it's falling, fish are biting. But if it's stable, it's not a good time. Whether it's high or low, it's not a good time. Fish aren't biting. Just another little thing to add in there. If you're looking at the sonar charts, they used to have it on there. I don't recall seeing it when I was covering it with you guys on a couple of videos back, but it used to be on there. It used to give you the barometer reading too, if it's rising, falling, what it's doing. And here we are, got our marker, moving right along. The Y is just up ahead. I love the ride out. I don't know how I can just stress it. I just love the ride, anticipating the day, and of course the ride back, anticipating what had happened, and any miscues or anything that I thought that I could have done better. I think about it, how I could do better the next time that I'm out on the lower Laguna Madre. But I'm in high anticipation. I looked at my sonar charts. It shows the fish are going to be biting, the tide's changing, and I'm going out there about 2 hours before the tide changes, is what I'm doing. And as you can see, Bird Island is dead ahead off the bow of the boat in front of us. Nice windy, cloudy day on the lower Laguna Madre. Beautiful day to be out fishing. Alright, so here we are. We're getting to the Y. We're almost there. We're going to take the south Y to the south, and we're going to hang a right. We're going to go to the starboard side. Bird Island dead ahead. I'll have a caption coming up here that'll read Bird Island. Pretty cloudy, huh? Nice cloud cover formation. Looks like a little bit of rain clouds right there. They're low, so you could get a little bit of rain when they're that low. So here we are, Bird Island, as you can see. So you might get a little bit of a rain there if they stay long enough. Might have some condensation form. All right, so now we're turning. We're in the Y. We're in the South Y. We're making the turn, and we're going to line up with the Intercoastal Waterway. And we're going to be heading south towards Three Islands. There's the marker, as you can see, for the South Y. Right here, we're in between the two. And we'll make the turn. We're slowly making a turn. We're arcing into, and you can barely see the marker all the way up there. The big pole sticking up that's way up there. That's going to be the channel marker on the port side of the Intercoastal Waterway. Or should I say the starboard side. I'm sorry, guys. So now we're in the Intercoastal Waterway, lined up. To our left, to the port side, is the grass flats that are south of Bird Island, north of Duncan's house. One of my favorite places to fish. I love fishing that. That's a good area. That's a good place. And then on the right side is Rattlesnake Bay. You can see the spoil banks there. I have a caption coming up. And you have all those little spoil bank islands that buffer Rattlesnake Bay from the Intercoastal Waterway and the grass flats. That gives us like a little buffer zone, a separation zone. And we're going to ride south since the wind is coming out of the south. We're going to ride due south to the southern end of Rattlesnake Bay. And we're going to come in on the southern end because, like I told you, I don't like riding across the bay. If I can avoid it, I'm not going to go through the bay that I'm going to fish. So I'm going to stay on the outside of it. And then I'm going to go all the way down to the south. And I'm going to come in and then I'm going to stop. And then I'm just going to drift through, so I don't scare anything up. And it was a cloudy day that day. I want to say the sun cleared up, came out a little bit, peeked through there. We'll see later on in the video. I just don't recall on this one. But I do know I caught a lot of fish that day. A lot of redfish, few trout, but redfish, because you know that's my game. That's what I go for. I go for redfish. But we're heading down to the southern end of Bird Island is what we're going to do. And then we're going to turn right in at the spoil bank, and we're going to stop and we're going to drift, which is the mud flat area of Bird Island. So spoil banks, Rattlesnake Bay. And pretty good so far. So far, I've only seen what two boats so far. So I don't recall which day this was. It's more than likely it's probably a weekday. I like weekdays because there's nobody down at the boat ramp, and it's easy for me to put in and put out. So I like fishing weekdays. Versus the weekend, as you would know if you put in down there that it gets super packed with people. Beautiful, look at that. Another beautiful day on the Lower Laguna Madre. Cassie's down there somewhere. I think she's sitting right there in front of the console. You can barely see her there off on the right side of the console in front of it. She's right there, right up front, next to the net, sitting there. She's getting her game on too, getting ready. Alright, so as you can see, previous videos other than the land cut, the ones before it, all my Rattlesnake Bay videos, you can see where am I at? Right in the mud flats at Rattlesnake Bay. Same exact place that were in those other 4 or 5 videos that I just covered. But this is probably 3-4 weeks later than that last one. maybe a month later. And here we go, right off the bat. Cassie on her game, redfish. We catch some small ones here too. We catch a few small reds, rat reds, and then we just catch some general size ones too. The regular slot reds, the between the 20 and 22 inch range. I think there's a 23 in there somewhere. I don't think I catch the big. I might catch one big one, maybe a 24 here in Rattlesnake Bay, but I catch the big one, 26, 27, or whatever it was. I'll cross the other side, and the bigger one than that I lose it. I don't even get it into the boat because I try to hurry it too much. I got too excited, and I should have let it fight longer, and I was just trying to manhandle it and get it in there, and it ran right under the. That's when I still had my power pole on the back, but it's a Minn Kota talon, my talon on the back. That anchors me, my shallow water anchor, and it ran right under that and snapped it right off, right next to the blade of the motor. It was right there. Snapped my line on the back of the boat, which we'll cover that when we get to it. We're starting off good here. Low redfish. So we're out in the mud flats. That's Hobnail Island behind me. See, low red. I want to say that one was like 19. I think he was just under, I believe. Wasn't big enough to keep. 18, 19, something like that. So we catch a few of those, and then we catch them right in the lower slot, the perfect eating size. Cassie doesn't want to lick him. I don't know why. She usually likes to lick the fish before we let him go. She didn't want to do it that time. That one's gone. Alright, as you can see, I have my popping cork, but if you notice, it's not the Back Bay Thunder. I have that other brand that I was talking about that, I forget what it's called, but when I covered it in a few videos back, that's the one with the soft cable in it. So, I couldn't get any of my Back Bay Thunder ones, and so I was having to use those rigs, and they work okay. But what I don't like is they don't have the stiff wire down the middle. That's what I don't like about them. They pop the same as the other one. It's just that they're at least slack in your line. Is what it does when you try to set the hook, because they bend so easy. There's no reinforcement in it to make it stiff and hard for when you set the hook. All right. So here we are, we're still there. And you see how the water's really, now remember I talked about this because if you looked in my previous Rattlesnake Bay videos when I was out there, the wind was blowing like 35 to 40 miles an hour. The water was a brown looking, but look at the water now. You see how it's a green? Rattlesnake Bay has that really beautiful green color water. It's still turned up a little bit because the wind's blowing, but you can see the green in the water. It's got that nice, vibrant green color in it. The reds and the trout love that. So let's see. We're going to pop it here. Look at it. It's ready. There it goes. Set the hook. There we go. Trout. Right? Or is it red? Looks like a trout. Let's see. So I did catch trout. So like I say, in that trout green water, the trout are in there too. You know, so Rattlesnake Bay, you can catch a lot of trout in Rattlesnake Bay. It's not just all redfish. It's really more trout water than it is redfish water. But you do catch reds out there too. Some of my biggest trout that I've ever caught, I've caught them there in Rattlesnake Bay. Not the biggest, but some of the biggest. All the the gator, what they call gator sizing up. You know what I mean? So let's take a look at it. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, nice trout. Look at that. Look at that beautiful color on that trout. Yellow in the mouth. That's a beautiful speck right there. I want to say that one was about 16, 17. That's all that one was. I don't think it hit the 18 mark, but it was right in there somewhere, 16, 17. It might have been 17 and a half, just right under 18. Nice little trout. Beautiful specks. Look at those specks on it. You know, something that I've noticed too, you know, used to the parasites were only in the trout. You know what I mean? Those little white tapeworms. But I've been noticing too when I've been catching reds out there, some of the reds have them now too. And they have them sometimes on the exterior part of their body instead of the interior where they've digested it and it's inside of their flesh. I've seen it sticking in their scales. There'll be one here somewhere that will cover it. It'll be in this video that I caught. It was on the tail of a red that I took it off of it. But it had embedded itself on its tail. See, we're still there. We're in Rattlesnake Bay, Hobnail Island. Same place. So that's already what, 2? So here we go. Here's going to be number 3. Sun came out a little bit, but it's still partly cloudy, partly sunny. Wind blowing about 25 to 30 miles an hour. Normal day out of the south. Here we go. Popping it. I'm going to tighten up the line, and you'll see when he starts to take it, I'll start reeling fast so I can get all the slack out before I set the hook. Waiting for him, waiting for him. There we go. Come on, baby. Pop it one more time. I see something's moving around there. I'm going to pop it again, and there he is. Here he goes. See how I reel all the slack out, and then I set the hook. Once I get all the slack out of the line, then I'll set the hook. I'll pull. That's a very crucial thing to make sure you get all the slack out of the line. You want to make sure you get the fish in. And you see, he was pretty close to the boat, huh? That one was. I was pretty close right there. Wasn't that far off of the boat. So I think that's just a regular little keeper red there, man. It's about a 21, 22 redfish. Cassie on her game. We're already on fish number 3. She was red hot that day. Let me tell you. Red hot. Look how intense she's looking at me while I'm measuring it out. Is he a keeper? Is he a keeper? We're going to take him home and eat him? She loves redfish, let me tell you. She loves the taste of redfish. She likes grilled redfish. She's like, yeah, I know what we're eating tonight. Redfish. I believe this one was like 21, 22. Oh, but she doesn't want to lick him. I don't get that. She usually likes to lick the fish. Second one, she didn't want to lick. Well, let's see what we got there. Yeah, about 22, I'd say, probably. I don't think it's quite 23. Be close, but I'd say about 20, 21 to 22, man. Maybe more like 22, just by looking at how long he is there between my arms. Perfect eating size right there. So is this the one that's got the parasite in the tail? Because I know I look at one of them, and it's got a parasite in the tail, like you normally see in the speckled trout. They're usually full of them, but inside, but not usually on their outside. So I'm talking there that I'm fishing in the little mossy part of the mud flat there. There's some moss grass, and that's where they're hanging at. So you can see it's not the Back Bay Thunder rig that I have on there. It's that other one. I forget the name. Look, let me get the name. I got it right here. I forget what it's called. It's called the Paradise Popper Extreme X. It's made by Bomber. Bomber Lures makes it. I got one in the package still here. It's a cable style popping cord. So it works okay. If I can't get the Back Bay Thunder while I'm popping live shrimp, I'll use that one. It works okay. I just don't like it because it has too much flex in the cable. That's the reason why I don't really like it. I only use it as a last resort. But it did okay that day. It caught a lot of redfish on it. So, a lot of fish. There we go again. Alright, so now, where are we? This isn't Rattlesnake Bay, guys. This is a grass flat right across from Rattlesnake Bay. You see those spoil banks out there in front of the bow of the boat? That is Rattlesnake Bay. So I'm directly across from Rattlesnake Bay is where I'm at. And look at that beautiful green, trout green water there. And I'm catching redfish. So here we go. So we just jumped from being in Rattlesnake Bay. Now we're in the grass flats. East. Directly just due east of Rattlesnake Bay. And there's the caption. But look at the water. Beautiful. You can see the grass and the potholes, the grass, the potholes. So this is a good size red right here. Look at this. So I don't know, is this the one I lose? Because there's one I lose, a big redfish here. I don't think this one's it because you see the cork. You see the cork there? The one I lose, I never even see the cork. The cork never comes up. So it was huge. Huge fish. And I'm just assuming it's a redfish because I never saw it. And it went around the boat like 3 times. And I still lost that thing. But this one isn't it. This is another one. But it's a nice red. And you'll see it in this video. Yeah, like I said, I broke my rule. You know, like I'm telling you guys how. Line tight, pull up, and just let it run its course. Make sure your drag set. And I got too excited because I knew it was a big fish, a lot bigger than what I've caught out there. And I tried to crank it in too fast because I'm figuring, hey, I've got 14-pound test line on this pole, so I knew it wasn't over 14 pounds. So you know what I mean? I was trying to manhandle it in and get it in fast. I got too excited, and I lost him. I didn't stick to the plan, man. You know, and I lost him. But we'll see it here in a little bit. It'll come up here in a little bit. But this is a nice redfish here. This is like a 23, 24, something like that. Nice red. And these are the grass flats due east of Rattlesnake Bay. This is where Josh said he was out there trying it out. And like I say, Josh, I fish this area. I love this area. This is a good area. I've caught many of reds in this area over the years, like you wouldn't believe. And trout. I catch trout out there too, but like I say, I mainly go for the redfish. And they're usually all over the place out here in this area. It's a good area. And it's just directly right across from Rattlesnake Bay, man. So if you want to learn how to fish that area, it's real simple. Wind's blowing out of the south. All you do is go all the way to the southern end of Rattlesnake Bay, right before 3 Islands, which is right before Duncan's house, basically. That's where that's at. And you just cut across. You go east, go to the middle, and stop. And you just drift back to Bird Island. That's all I'm doing. Real simple, man. You slow your drift down as slow as possible, and you work the area. Sun came out, still a little cloudy, but there's plenty of sun. You can see the dark shadows of the grass, the potholes, and the water. You see my little oil slicks? I'm in my oil slick there. You see it in front, right there in the middle of the boat. So we're drifting right in that. This is a really good area, man. I've fished out here since continuously since '97, since I got my own boat, which was back in 1997. And I'm telling you, I've caught tons. And a lot of times that I fished out there on my Dargo boat, about 90% of the time, it was at night. And it wasn't drift fishing. I'd go out and I'd anchor out and wait for the reds to come across. And back then, I think you could have 5 reds. I think that's what the total was. It wasn't 3. The daily bag limit was 5. And everyone that you would catch anchored out there. Granted, it wouldn't come real fast, but over the night. So that's about a 23-inch red right there. Nice little 23. I don't think he's quite 24. Might be, but between 23 and 24. The head doesn't look big enough to be a 24. But what I'm saying is that the fish, the quality of the fish were bigger. And I've caught some nice sized trout out there at night too, fishing on the bottom with finger mullet. That's what I use, or cut mullet. Actually, back then it wasn't even finger mullet, it was cut mullet. I'd catch mullet and cut them up, and that's how I'd catch them, fishing on the bottom, anchored out. I'd pick my spot, and maybe I would try 2 spots, sometimes 3, but most of the time it's just 1 or 2 spots is all that I'd have to try at night. I'd, pick up, if they weren't biting after so many hours, I'd pick up and move a little bit more and then stop. So here we go. As you see the small banks, you can see the intercoastal waterway there. That's Rattlesnake Island, way out there off of the bow of the boat. It's due west of me. I'm just due east of it. Here it is, boom. Just threw it in and look at that, bam. Here we go, another red. I love this area. This is a good area to fish. My grass flat video that I did to just show you the clear water grass flats that I fish in, that was taken right here in this area early in the morning. That's where I was at when I set the drone up, and you could see how clear the water was and everything. That was this area right here, directly across from Rattlesnake Bay. The clarity may not be that great the day that I was there that day in this video, but it's usually pretty clear back there. Little rat red. Hey, don't get discouraged when you're catching rat reds, man. That's the future. That just shows you got a good, healthy red population. If I'd be concerned if I wasn't catching undersized reds. That would concern me. But if you're catching them, that means you got a good population coming on. A couple of years, they're going to be nice reds. 4 years, they're going to be monster reds. So it's always a good sign. Put them back, don't keep them, let them go. Cassie's like, man, I thought that was a keeper. Telling you, Cassie loves redfish, man. She loves the taste of redfish. She likes it grilled. Sometimes blackened too, man. She likes that too. So we're just doing my normal routine when I'm popping the cork. I've got my 8.5 foot offshore extreme inshore rod, inshore extreme offshore rod from Bass Pro. I got 14-pound test line. I got my pin 260, I believe. I still had it at that time. That's what it looks like that's on there. The 14-pound test line. And it's the monofilament line from Suffix. And then I got that Bomber popping cork with a 40-pound test leader on it. Here we are again. Boom, baby. Is this the big one? Let's see. I think this is him. Let's see if this is him. Because look, I never see this fish, and it's big. And see, like I said, I broke my rule. I got too much in a hurry, and I wanted to get him in. I knew he was big, just the way he was pulling on the pole. Look how he goes around the boat. He goes around the boat like 2 or 3 times. And I still don't get that fish in. See, I'm back there on the back of the boat wrestling him because he's peeling line. I mean, he's going. And I never get it up high enough. Well, let's see. Maybe this isn't him. Let's take a look here. Maybe this is another red. Because if you see the cork, this isn't it. No, this isn't it. This is another red. I'm sorry, guys. I'm already getting ahead of myself. This is just another red. That's not the big one. The big one, I never see the cork. But what I wanted to finish telling you about my rig here that day, I was using a shock leader that was about 24 inches long below that. See how far down it's hanging? About 24 to 27 inches. So I was using a leader longer than what I normally would use when I fish. When I was on the other side in Rattlesnake Bay, it was a short leader, you know what I mean? But there, the water looked a little deeper, so I figured, you know what? I'm going to hang one a little bit deeper to where it's going to pretty much probably drag the bottom, because the water out there is probably only about 24 inches, if even that. Maybe 3 feet in some places, but mainly 24, 18 to 24, right in there somewhere. So here's another nice red right here. So I've already lost count. I'm not good at counting, guys, but that's like, I don't know, number 4 or 5 right there already. Fish that we've caught since we've been here. And you have to remember, I only went out and fished about 3-4 hours is all I did. And it looks like it's another keeper, another about 21, 22 right there somewhere. I think it's about a 22. I don't think it's quite hits the 23 mark. But still, nice slot red. Trying not to get hooked. I forgot to... Let's take a look at him. Yeah, it's got to be about 22. I'd say he's about 22. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful redfish. One of them has a parasite on it. I just don't remember if it's this one or which one. I know I talk about it. I want to say it's in this video. Maybe it's not even in this video. It's on the tail. Birds flying there. Man, that water is so perfect. Look at the water. And you see how I'm in my my oil slicks there, the little foams in the water? I'm drifting right in there in them. That water is so perfect there. I love that fish in that area. It always produces out there. And you have to remember, this isn't behind Bird Island, man. This is south of Bird Island. Way south of Bird Island. You know, all those spoil islands that you see behind me, that's what lines Rattlesnake Bay, the front of Rattlesnake Bay. And that's where I'm at. The grass flats east of Rattlesnake Bay. Let's see, maybe this is where I catch that big red. Well, I say it's a big red. I never saw the fish. All I know, it was big. I didn't get it in. Okay, we'll take a look here. Maybe this is the one here. And he went around the back, and I think I lost him either off of the skeg of the motor or off my... Well, I didn't have... I said my Talon, my shallow water anchor. I didn't have it down at the time I was drifting, so it had to be the skeg of the motor is where I lost him, and it snapped the line. Above the cork, or below the cork. We'll see. But you'll see I lose him. Here we go. Boom. Let's see if this one's in. No, because you can see the cork. So this one isn't him. This is a small fish, whatever it is. Maybe another rat red. Cassie, she's, you know, she's taking care of business that day. She took care of business that day. So here's another little rat red. Probably about, I don't know, 17 inches right there somewhere. 16 inches. Maybe 15. But it's always a good sign. I don't get dismayed when I catch those. That just makes me feel good that I know that, hey, we got a strong population of redfish in the bay if I'm catching those little guys. And not if I'm catching a lot of them. That's a good sign. Okay, so now I think this is the one. So look, this baby one has one of those tapeworms on its tail. So take a look there. You see how it's embedded in its tail? So I remove it for it. And that's pretty wild for that fish being that young. And normally you only used to see those back in the day were in the trout. They've always been in the trout ever since I can remember. They've always had tapeworms. I never had seen them on redfish until, you know, these past few years that I've been fishing out there, and they're in the redfish now. And then a few drum that I've caught too, they've been in there too. But I removed it off its tail. It was already embedding it in there. That young little fish. Yep, back in the water. But as I can say, the wind's blowing 25, 30 miles an hour. You see how the boat's rocking. The water's not that deep there. It's only max maybe 24 inches there. And we're drifting straight to Bird Island. There is what we're doing. I'm checking the GPS and we're right on a heading, and we're going to hit right at on the backside of Bird Island. Is where we're going to end up on that drift. I got the GPS on and it's got the line showing me my drift. And all I'm talking about how you see the grass flats, the potholes, grass flats, potholes, and what I'm fishing there. And they're in there. The reds are there, man. Because look, I haven't even caught the big one yet. There is one big one I do catch and keep. I do get into the boat, 26 or 27 inch red. But the one before it is the one I lose, which was even bigger than that one. You know, you lay the best plans and you try to, you know how they say practice, practice, practice makes perfect. You know what I mean? Um, you know, it's just sometimes, you know, I've done this so many times that you would think that it would be routine. Generally, it is. It's routine for me. I just got excited, just like some, you know, like most people do, man. And I try to get him in too fast and manhandle him and get him in, and it didn't happen. The fish won the day. And what I didn't really like is because he snapped the line and he took my hook. We'll see if he takes the cork. I don't know if that's still on there. I think he takes the cork too. I think he takes all of it. But I'm just saying how I'm finally on him. I'm starting to see it. I'm seeing the movement. And I'm like, hey, the bigger one's got to be here. And look at this. No sooner than I was sitting there talking about it, I cast and boom, there's a big one. And I'm telling you, I'm working it. Working the area. Working all the way across like a clock. So I want to say, let's see, let's keep our fingers crossed. This is where I hook that big one that I lose. That I never even get in the boat. Because you don't even see the popping cork at all. That shows you how big the fish is. I can't even get it up above the water to see exactly what it is. I'm just assuming it's a redfish because immediately after that one, I got my next pole, and as soon as I threw it in, my replacement pole, because he broke the line on that one, as soon as I threw it in, I caught a 26, 27 inch redfish on the first cast. So I'm just assuming it's a big redfish. See, look at this. And just a couple of pops and boom. Let's see if this is him. Not, it might be another smaller one. Let's see. So I'm reeling fast because he's moving. So that means he's moving towards the boat. So this isn't him. Did you see the cork? This isn't the one. So yeah, like I told you, I caught a lot of redfish that day. I don't even remember how many fish I caught. It's like, what is that, number 6 or 7 now? Another baby red. It was a good day. Good day out there. Like I say, that's a really good place to drift fish. And I mean any of those flats that runs, I mean you can go all the way down past Three Islands, past Cullen's house, past Market 57, and so on down the line, and cut across and just drift back. Any of that area. Oh, that's that little rat I lost. Quick release there. All right, so maybe this next one is where I hooked this big fish. So I'm looking over there, I'm seeing something. So that's why you see I'm looking that way. I'm seeing something moving. I can't tell exactly what it is, but I'm seeing it. So I'm going to bait it up and I'm going to cast that direction. So maybe this is where I catch. Maybe this is where it's at. Let's see if this is the big one. Look how fast I'm reeling. He's running towards me. I'm keeping it tight. So no, this is the big one. It's a trout. Right? Yeah, another trout. Look at that. Trout green waters, guys. There's trout out there in them grass flats. One thing about trout like to spit the hook back at you. So you got to reel those guys fast and keep it super tight, because if not, they'll get off so fast because they can, I guess it has to do with because their mouth is straight, and whereas a redfish's mouth is on the bottom of their head, but their mouth is in front of their head. So they have a better knack of being able to spit out the hook faster and get off easier than a redfish would. I think that's probably the reason why. But this is a nice trout. Nice speck. Look at this one. Beautiful. Beautiful speckled trout. Look at that baby. I think that was about 18, 19 right there somewhere. Nice low spec. I don't think it quite hit the 20-inch mark, but it was right there somewhere. It's about 18 inches, I believe, on that one. Nice 18-inch trout. Look at the specs. Beautiful. Beautiful fish. So, you know where he went? He went to the ice chest. We ate him that night. So, Cassie had speckled trout that night and redfish. Alright, let's see if this is the guy. This is him. There we go. There it is. See how he's pulling? I think this is the one I never saw. I never saw the cork too after I hit this guy. Look at him. This was a big fish. And I'm just assuming it's a redfish because it never broke the top of the water. You know, it never broke up top, so I could see what it was. It always stayed down. And it was big. Look at it running. It's just running. And it's running just like a redfish would run. You know? Look at it, just peeling that line. See how you never see the cork? Cork never comes up again. After I hooked him, that fish was so strong, he kept it down, and he was staying close to the bottom. And you got to remember that water's not that deep, man. It's 20 to 24 inches. That's all it is there. Look at him just peeling that line. And this is where, like I said, you got to stick to the plan. I didn't stick to the plan here, and it cost me. Because I wanted to get him in, because I knew he was big, and I'm like, hey, I can manhandle this one. I got an 8.5 foot pole, I got 14-pound test line, I got a 40-pound shock leader. I'm gonna manhandle it, and I'm gonna get him in the boat. And it didn't happen, man. He snapped the line right there at the back of the boat. I think he hit the skeg or the prop or something, and it cut my line. But look how he's peeling it. He's still peeling it. I can't even stop him. He's running. See how I'm just holding the pole? I'm not even reeling, man. He's running. Running, running, running. He's going to run again around the boat. Look at this. All the way around again. See, I'm doing good there. But once I come around this side, I start reeling fast, and that's where I lose him. Is when I go to the port side of the boat. I didn't stick to the plan. I got too excited. It had to be a big red, because immediately after that next cast, I caught a big red. See, look, now he ran back this other way, and this is where I lose him, right here somewhere. Right here, you don't see it, but he snaps the line. It's behind the camera. He runs right under the boat, at the back of the boat, and I try to pull him up, because like I told you, I like those big rods, because generally you can keep the fish. See how he already snapped my line? He already broke my line. He snapped it. So yeah, he took the cork and everything. That's what I'm talking about. You win some, you lose some. This is one where I came up short. It would have been a beautiful fish to see. But like I say, guys, I make mistakes too, just like any other fisherman. We just have to keep in mind that, hey, when you got something big, take your time. See how you just snapped the line? He took the cork, took the bobber, everything. He took the popping cork, everything. And how he snapped it was he was going around again, and then when I pulled up to try to bring him into me, he came darting straight to the back of the stern of the boat, and I think he either caught the skeg or he caught the prop on the back of my boat, and it cut the line like that, and he was gone. But live and you learn. And I've been fishing many years, man, and I didn't take my own advice. Heat of the moment, when you're in the battle. But that was a big red, because I never saw him. That's how big he was, man. Because normally, even the bigger reds, you see in a lot of them that I've caught, the 27s, 28s, the 29s, you see him. I get him up to the top, and you can see him in the water, man. I never even saw my cork again. That's how big that fish was. So that pole's retired for the day. So that's my 260 slammer on that setup. But I have a backup pole. I carry 3 on the boat. All the same size rods. And I want to say it's 3 different reels. A 260, a 360, and then my 4400 SS. My 430 SS. So see, it's already rigged up to go. So this is my backup rod. And look at this. My first cast out, I catch a 26, 27 inch redfish. Look at this one. Right after I just lost that one. So if I could have slowed it down even more, I'm sure there were more big reds, and they were probably all right in that little area right there. So either sitting there or feeding there or whatever they were doing, they were there. That's all I know. They were there. And I guarantee you, if I could have slowed it down even more, I probably could have caught more of those bigger ones. But look at this. Look at this cast. Boom. Pop it a couple of times, and big redfish hits it. This is live shrimp. Popping the cork. Number 4 treble hook on it. And that's Rattlesnake Bay, directly across from me, man. I'm just in the grass flats due east of Rattlesnake Bay. There he goes. He's taking it, and then look, boom, I set the hook, and look at this. Big red. Peeling line. Another one. But it wasn't as big as the one I just lost, but it's a big one. Just look how green that water is, man. Beautiful. All the right signs are there, man. He goes around the boat too, I think. Let's see. I walk around. Yeah. So this one goes around the boat also. But I get this one in. And then also this is pretty interesting here too, because remember how previously I'd lost a big red in Rattlesnake Bay because it fell through the net because it was frayed. Well, come to find out, the net's going to have another frayed spot because this one falls through, but it just so happens I got him over the boat and he falls on the deck of the boat. He falls right through the net. That the net's frayed again in another spot. See? Feel in line. But this one I can control. You see the cork? You see how the cork's up? The other one I never even saw the cork. The cork stayed underwater. I never even could even get the fish's head up to the top of the water because the other one was so big. Now he's going back the other way. Let's see which way I come out. Either on the port side or the starboard side. He reversed direction. I need to give me one of those 360 cameras so you can see the whole 360 of the boat when I go around the back. I need to invest in one of those. But I got him now. I can see him. He's a big red. So look at this. You can see there's going to be another hole in this net. When I put him in there, he's going to flop right out. But this one, at least I get it over the deck of the boat before he falls out. Falls through the net. Yeah, I don't want to waste any time. And look at that. Boom. Right out. I think it's the signs are telling me that I need to buy a new net. That net's had it. I've already stitched it up once, and then it was weak again in another spot. But this one was 26, 27 right there, big one, nice one. And I took my time, as you see. I took my time, let him run. I didn't want to make the same mistake twice. And I let that one run. And as you can see, you know, we got him in the boat. It just sometimes I think about it, you know, it's not so much as losing the fish as I still wonder to this day, how long was it? I wish I could have at least got it up high enough in the water to see how big of a redfish it was. I just never got to see how big it was. All I know it was big because it stayed down and it just kept peeling line, running. But yeah, that was a great day. Had a lot of enjoyment catching those reds all that day out there. A lot of fun. And like I said, that's a good spot. I've been fishing that spot since the late 1990s, 97 when I got my boat. I used to fish it a lot at night out there. And I've caught plenty of big redfish out there at night. Fishing on the bottom is what I've caught. Plenty of big redfish. What's the thing about the night fishing is you usually don't catch as many like you do in the daytime. So you always catch your limit, you know what I mean, on the reds. But the trout, you don't usually limit. Well, back then, the trout were like 10. You could keep 10. So you wouldn't catch 10 trout. You'd probably catch 4 or 5 is what you'd catch. And then, of course, you'd catch your 5 reds. But the quality of the fish that you would catch, if you find the right spot to set up, you go out and you scout it right before dark, where you think that these guys are going to be crossing, and you set up there and wait for them, you'll see generally it produces a better quality size fish at night. And they're usually all nice size that you catch. You know, trout are usually in that 23, 24 inch range, you know, out there. Reds are all usually in the upper slot range or right over the slot just a little bit, you know, 28 and a half or whatever. But I've caught plenty of big reds here in this area. The biggest red that I've ever caught in the flats, in the grass flats, now that's not the biggest red I've ever caught, but in the grass flats is 31 inches. You know, that's about tops when you're talking grass flat fishing. You know, there might be a few more out there, but a little bit bigger than that. But generally, Those big bull reds that you're talking like that are 38 to 40. I've never seen those in all my fishing in the grass flats out there. I've caught them off the jetties, yes. The big bull red runs, plenty of big ones there, 40s, 42s, big old monsters. But in the grass flats, like that fish there that I'm showing you in the camera, that's one of the top size reds you can catch out there, man. They'll get a little bit bigger than that. They'll get to 29, 30, 31. But I've never caught a 3 foot long redfish in the grass flats. The biggest I've ever caught is 31 inches in the grass flats. And I caught that in the hole up there south of Port Mansfield at the target post. And I lost one that same day too. I had one that was about the same size or bigger, and it's just like this was. I'd hooked that one first, and it was the same thing. Ran so many times around the boat, peeling line, and then he ran under the boat, and he snapped my line. But back then, I was only using 8-pound test line, way back in the day. And then immediately after that, I hooked that 31, and then I got that one into the boat. But the grass flats, that's a good sized redfish for in the grass flats, guys. That's what I'm saying. Right in that range between 28 and 31, 32 inches, right in there. I've never caught a 4-foot redfish out there. In the channel, yes. Down there at the ship channel, the jetties, Boca Chica, Isla Blanca, the jetties north of Andy Boy, the Port Mansfield jetties, yes. So yeah, you catch them, that size, up to 40, 42s, and in that range. But I haven't ever caught one that big in the flats. So look, we're heading in. What can I say? It was a very fruitful day out there on the lower Laguna Madre. And we caught a lot of redfish that day. And like I said, I didn't live up to, I got too excited with that big one and didn't follow through. So always follow through. Slow it down. Take your time. Let it tire itself out and then bring it in the boat. Don't try to fast track it like I did, because then it doesn't happen. As you can see, it usually doesn't work out well. But I guess we're going to sign it off here for Cassie, Rusty, and me. One of these days, guys, we will see you guys out on the lower Laguna Madre. Y'all have a good day.